In this video, we'll demonstrate how a UX component that has a list with a detail view that allows you to capture images while you are disconnected can be configured so that when you're using a Phonegap application, you can capture a large number of images while you're disconnected and not be limited by the amount of local storage that you have available to you. So to demonstrate this feature, we've built a very simple UX component over here that has quite a bit of debugging information turned on that will allow us to point out various aspects of what's going on. So before we actually demonstrate this component running on an iPad, let's just take a look behind the scenes and see how this component has been configured. So if we go over to the list properties here, we can see that this list is based on a SQL table, and if we go look inside the SQL table, we can see that the data right now has we've got just three fields: an ID field, and then a field called image character, which is a character field that contains the file name, or more precisely the URL of the image, and then a description of the image. And you can see here that these images are being stored on Amazon S3. We can also store images as files on the Alpha Anywhere server, but using S3 for our media files is very efficient, so we're going to use S3 in this example over here. So there's our database, and then it's just a standard list control with a detail view. So let's actually go ahead now and let's see, we can run this here in working preview, and we can see now that there are two records there, and there's the first image and there's the second image. So now let's actually go ahead and run this component on a mobile device, and then in the next video we'll come back and explain how the list control was configured to implement all of these features. So we're now looking at an iPad running this component, and you can see here are our two records, and when I tap on the first row on the iPad, you can see there's the detail view showing that image, and if I tap on the second row, there's the detail view displaying that image over there. But we've turned on a debug feature over here called Show Data in Row. So when I tap that button over there, you can see that what I'm seeing on the screen here is debug information that actually shows what information is stored in the list control. And the thing that's interesting over here is that if we look at the image character field over here, we can see that even though the SQL database for this record, record number 3 right now, stores a URL that points to an image on Amazon S3, what we're seeing over here in the character field over here is a file reference to a local file on the device. And so because this is now a file reference to a local file on this device, that means that even if we no longer have a connection, we'll still be able to see the image when the user clicks on that row in the list control, because the image has been fetched from Amazon S3 or from the remote server and stored in the file system. So let's go ahead now and create a new record. So I'm going to tap on the new record button on the iPad, and then go over to the description field and just type in say picture 3, and then I'm going to tap on the camera button to take a picture. So let's go there and take a picture. So here I am, I'm going to take a picture, say, of my telephone here in my office. Go ahead and click the use photo button, and now when I go ahead and then tap on the save button, that's going to add a new row to the list. You can see there's our new row over there. There's the little blue icon indicating that this is a new record, and then we're going to synchronize the data. But let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now, and we've just captured a photo for a new record, and now I'm going to go ahead and click this button to show data in row. So now we can see that basically the data that's stored in this row in the list control here is pointing to a file in the file system on the phone. So because we're pointing to a file in the file system over here, rather than storing the actual base 64 encoded data, which is what would have been done had we not been using this new Phonegap feature, the amount of information that can be captured while you're disconnected is not constrained by storing large images, large base 64 encoded images in local storage. So now that we have captured this image and we'd like to synchronize with the server, let's go ahead now and press the synchronize button. And notice that when I hit the synchronize button, you're going to see a progress indicator over here showing the upload progress while this file is being uploaded to S3. So I'm going to go ahead now and first of all, before I do that, let me actually go over to Cloudberry here, and this is going to show me the files that are currently in S3. So right now there are 3 files in S3. So after I press the synchronize button, there should now be 4 files in S3. So I'm going to go ahead now and tap on this synchronize button. So you might have noticed the progress indicator over there indicating that that file was now pushed to S3. So now if I go over to S3 and do a refresh over here, you can see I now see 4 files over there. And if I go over to my SQL database and then do a refresh over here, I can see that there's now a new record, and this new record here basically has a reference to the file on S3. But if I look at the record in the UX component itself, and we say basically show data in row, we can see that this particular list here still refers to the local file. So even though we uploaded the file to Amazon S3 and we stored the URL of the image in the database, on the device we still have the local file over here, which means that if we were to go offline at this point, we would still be able to access this file. So we also have, for debugging purposes here, 2 additional buttons here. One which is to show the files that are in the file system on the device. So I'm going to go ahead now and tap that button, and now if we scroll down, we can see over here that actually let's go ahead and just show files in directory, and we can see now that we have files in the directory listed over here, and we have these 2 files listed in the directory, and these are the files that have been fetched from the server and put into the local file system. So notice that we only see 2 files here and not 3 files, even though the actual list itself has now got 3 records in it. And the reason that we're only seeing two files is that this last picture that was taken is still stored in a different location on the device. It's not stored, it's stored in this location, var mobile containers, whereas the first 2 pictures that were taken previously are stored in a folder here called underbar AA files. So we'll discuss it in the next video how the list is configured to do this. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now with our discussion of the using the Phonegap file system when you're capturing images. And what we've done over here is just shown how the folder that we're loading the images in contains 2 files right now, and not the 3 files that we would have expected, since there are now 3 images in this list. So let's go ahead now and reopen this component. So I'm going to go ahead now and click the open button, and so notice that when I click the open button, basically there's a progress bar that flashed over here, which indicated that the component was going back to the server and fetching any of the files, any of the images from the server that we wanted to have while we were disconnected. So if we go back now and say show files in directory, we now see 3 files here, all inside the underbar AA files list, and that means that these files are now stored in the local file system and are no longer pointing to remote files on S3. So if we were to go ahead now and delete all the files in that directory, so I'm going to go ahead now and click the delete button, and that's deleted all the files in the directory, so there's no longer any files in the directory right now. And now if I were to reopen this component, you can see that when I press the open button now, the component reloads, and then you can see that there was a progress bar that displayed over there showing that all of the files were being fetched from the server and being brought down to the mobile device. So if I go now and say show files in directory, I can see that now we've fetched those 3 files over there, and they're in the directory, and they will be available to us while we're disconnected. So not only can you use the file system when you're taking pictures, but you can also use the file system when you are loading data onto your device so that you can go offline, and then all of the pictures that are referenced in the data that you download to your mobile device will be stored in files on the mobile device. So now that we've basically shown this in action, let's show how the list control is configured so that when you're using Phonegap, the images can be captured to the file system. So we'll pick that up in the next video.